Thanks everyone for joining today for our BC budget debrief with special guest Minister Brenda Bailey, BC's Minister of Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation. I'm thrilled to see some new and familiar faces for the tech community here today. But for those who don't know me, my name is Kamat. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives at the Council of Canadian Innovators. Just some housekeeping. I'm going to let everyone's audio connect, and I'm going to ask everyone to stay on mute for the duration of today's call. If you have questions, you can put them into the chat. My colleague Gabby will be fielding them. This is just to ensure that we have a smooth call with the minister and maximize our time together today. Just really briefly, if you're new to CCI, just a bit of background. We are a national member-based organization reshaping how governments across Canada think about innovation policy, and with a specific focus on how to support homegrown innovators to drive prosperity and long-term economic growth. Our members are the CEOs behind some of Canada's most successful tech companies across a variety of sectors, including healthtech, cleantech, fintech, cybersecurity, AI, digital transformation, you name it. And what we do is we advocate on their behalf for government strategies to increase their access to skilled talent, strategic capital, new customers, and expanded marketplace frameworks and freedom to operate to make sure that these companies can scale their operations globally. Today, we're really honored to have Minister Bailey here with us for the first part of this discussion. She has agreed to take some time out of her very, very busy schedule to be with us today, so thank you so much. Minister Bailey is no stranger to many of you on the call, in large part because of how her career before politics was spent building BC up as a small business person and tech entrepreneur. She has blazed new trails for women in tech as a co-founder of Canada's first women-owned operated video game studio. She's also helped strengthen and diversify BC's creative tech industry as the head of DigiBC, an interactive digital media association. And today, as Minister of Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation, Minister Bailey's focus is working for business, Indigenous community, and leaders to drive the government's stronger BC economic plan forward. For Minister Bailey, this really means growing an economy that benefits all British Columbians, supporting businesses, regional economic development, meeting our climate commitments, and fostering innovation across the economy. Minister, thank you so much for joining us today, and the floor is all yours to provide some comments about the recent budget that came out last week, and then we'll kind of dive into some Q&A.
That's great. Good morning, everyone. It's great to have a chance to be here with all of you, many familiar faces and names, and some folks who are new to me. So nice to meet you all. Thank you, Boo, for the introduction and for inviting me to participate in this budget debrief. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that I'm speaking to you today from the territories of the Lekwungen peoples, the Songhees, and Esquimalt nations. I want to begin by thanking the CCI for participating in the pre-budget consultation process, providing important feedback as we continue to plan for a strong economy today and into BC's future. I want to assure you that through the Stronger BC Economic Plan, we're going to continue to build and strengthen a sustainable economy that values and advances innovation so that people can build a good life in British Columbia. Supporting innovative ideas is crucial to growing our economy and creating thousands more sustainable, well-paying jobs and opportunities for British Columbians. As you know, BC has a strong knowledge-based sectors really, with fast-growing companies in agri-tech, clean tech, health and life sciences, telecommunications, information technology, bioeconomy. BC Stats estimates that BC's tech sector GDP grew faster than that of the overall provincial economy, and it's outperformed the economy as a whole in every year in the last decade, with one exception in 2015. Budget 2024 renews the province's commitment to innovation-based growth and aims to tackle the challenges of today while focusing on growing an economy that works for everyone. On the note of innovation, I wanted to acknowledge the CCI for your thoughtful piece on the importance of IP commercialization. I couldn't agree more. As many of you know, this is a priority for me and for my ministry. IP is a critical asset for entrepreneurs and businesses, which makes it a critical asset for the BC economy. And that's why we launched BC's intellectual property strategy aimed at increasing IP capacity within the province. We are committed to building a robust, self-sustaining IP ecosystem that supports domestic innovators to thrive and to grow. We're continuing to work with partners like the CCI to move forward on several fronts. Our JEDI team is working on identifying and addressing barriers to creating and commercializing the IP that's being generated in our post-secondary institutions and other innovative organizations. We're exploring a range of possible IP supports, including incentives and other policy instruments. Our team is identifying ways to increase the public benefits derived from the public investment made in IP. And we're exploring how to protect and support Indigenous IP, especially IP not covered by current legal frameworks in Canada. We're excited to work with Peter Cohen in his new role as CEO of Innovate BC. And as many people here will know, Peter has a long history of advocating for the importance of IP. And he's most recently provided invaluable advice and guidance about how to support our business community and protect these assets. My mandate is to ensure economic development and diversification is happening throughout the province in all sectors. JEDI is responsible for overseeing some of the most innovative programs in the province to help people and to address the challenges we're facing. For example, to find solutions to complex problems, we've created the Integrated Marketplace Initiative, or IMI, through our Crown agency, Innovate BC. We're harnessing some of the leading innovators in the province to solve some of our most pressing issues, particularly around emissions reduction and implementing clean energy solutions. Just over a week ago, I was at the Globe Forum where we announced Moment Energy at YVR. Moment Energy is working on a new battery energy storage system by repurposing retired EV batteries. We're confident efforts like the Integrated Marketplace will foster clean technology in the province to meet demands. BC is also seeing incredible work in the life sciences sector. This province is home to the fastest growing life science sector in Canada, employing almost 30,000 British Columbians. That's the newest number that's come out from Life Sciences BC, whose salaries are close to 30% higher than the provincial average. To build on the strengths of the sector and to secure our position as global leaders in life sciences, we've launched the BC Life Sciences and Biomanufacturing Strategy last year and have made record investments in this area. We're opening a new state-of-the-art National Biomanufacturing Training Center to help people get the skills they need to fill jobs in local companies that are addressing some of the world's most pressing healthcare challenges. People in our province will soon benefit from increased access to cutting-edge, life-saving medical therapies with a new clinical trials unit in Vancouver. It will be the only non-cancer phase 1 clinical trial unit in all of Western Canada. And I'll just stop and pause for a second and share with you that this is also an IP play. And people might not realize that, but what happens often, I understand from the life sciences sector, is that if people can't test their drugs through the clinical one trial in British Columbia, they go elsewhere. And very often they'll take their business and their IP with them. So ensuring that they have access to stage 1 clinical trial testing in British Columbia is really, really important, both in terms of company retention and IP retention. We've also made a $75 million commitment combined with $225 from the federal government to support a Made in BC anchor company, Abcelera, who've added $400,000 from the company to build $400 million from the company to build a $700 million campus here in Vancouver. This is going to help solve global healthcare challenges while creating hundreds of new high-paying jobs and, importantly, be a real anchor in our ecosystem. The investments and initiatives I've mentioned are just a sample of some of the work that the province is supporting in various sectors to help BC stay ahead of other jurisdictions. It's a strategy that meets our challenges head-on while keeping the economy strong. We know how important it is to maintain a healthy economy for both established businesses, but for up-and-coming ventures with new ideas. We've committed to getting behind these businesses and their ideas by creating InBC. InBC is a $500 million strategic investment fund that invests in growing companies and venture funds. I also wanted to flag the Small Business Venture Capital Tax Credit Program that provides tax credits for BC investors who make quality capital investments in BC startups. We're helping those businesses gain access to early-stage venture capital. In 2023, many of the investments were either in AI, cleantech, or agritech businesses. And of course, in Budget 2024, you see that we've raised the EHT threshold from 500,000 to 1 million, and then graduated from 1 million to 1.5. We hope and we are confident that this will also help support small businesses and, importantly, our tech ecosystem. I've mentioned just a few highlights in my ministry that are helping ensure BC is well positioned. to support people through the challenges we're seeing around the globe with our diverse economy and prudent financial planning. While we are experiencing the impacts of slower global growth, our fiscal plan remains stable. Budget 2024 provides immediate support while making significant investments to secure a brighter future for people and their families. Thanks. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you so much, Minister. That was an excellent overview, and it's clear that your ministry and the government is doing a lot of work to help local technology companies, particularly on the intangible pieces. I think our members specifically were really enthused to hear about the IP strategy as a key initiative. Just to dive really deep in a little bit deeper into budget 2024, this budget has a huge focus on healthcare and housing, improving kind of the standard of living for British Columbians. I think technology has a huge role to play in those pieces. I'm just wondering, just to kick the conversation off, like particularly when it comes to health, and procurement is a big conversation with domestic firms. How do you see innovation playing in those key spaces, and what's your kind of approach to kind of leveraging the domestic capacity here to ensure that we can champion those the key spaces in the economy?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks very much. I'll answer it by sharing an example. I recently had a chance to tour Clarius, which is a company that received funding from InBC. So InBC is really designed to be a strategic investment fund that supports not the startup community, but folks who are looking to scale, that are in market and have opportunity ahead of them to actually grow significantly. So after the due diligence was complete, InBC made an investment into Clarius. I got to go out and meet the folks there and see their manufacturing facility, which is right on Broadway at the Tech Innovation Hub. So Clarius is building handheld ultrasounds that are AI enabled. And this is a really important innovation. And they're selling to, solving the problem here, building the company here, but selling through to markets in 57 different countries. And this is the kind of story I love to hear about British Columbia companies. They can do their work here, they can test it in our market, and then they can sell abroad. So the physician that I spoke to is an emergency room doctor who works around the province, and he told me about using this particular innovation in remote communities. Because when you have the requirement for an ultrasound, often there's this large cart that you have to pull in, it's attached by a cord. Not the case with this ultrasound device. It's handheld, it's wireless, and it's AI enabled, which is really helpful because it lowers the bar on the level of technical training required by the physician who's delivering the ultrasound. And the way it currently stands, if you need an ultrasound, you have to have an ultrasound technician. It gets sent to a radiologist, it gets sent back to the doctor, and then they meet with the patient. That's a very heavy contact experience. Whereas if the physician is using the Clarius medical device, they can do the scan, it goes directly onto their phone, they have the information exactly there. And if it's not a deeply complex scan that needs a radiologist, they can share the information with the patient right there. So it's a really innovative solution. And I think it's a great example of how BC technology companies are doing incredible work in medtech.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, just a great example of what could be done, and in terms of saving lives, helping patients, and it's right here at home. So that's incredible. I think Budget 24 gave us a bit of idea of where the government's headed. I'm really curious to hone in on your ministry in specific. We had a chance to review your service plan. It obviously outlines everything up. Too many activities to kind of go through here, but just wanted to get a sense of where your priorities are for the approaching year ahead, how that kind of lines up with the government's goals, and yeah, if you could just speak to overarching priorities and how we can engage and what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm really lucky to have such a diverse ministry with so many interesting challenges ahead of us. And I see Wendy Hilbert's on the line, so I'm going to give a particular shout out to our incredible work going on in the life sciences sector that's happening in collaboration with Life Sciences BC and other partners. But we're going to continue to make investments in this sector. I think it's really worth noting that when we see a sector that has opportunity to become a major driver in GDP and economic growth and high quality jobs, plus benefits to the overall public, that's a great place for us to make investments as government. And historically, you don't see government making direct investments in companies. There's language that, is critical of that, picking winners and losers. But what we're actually doing is helping make sure that there are anchor companies that can drive forward our sector in terms of what happens when you have anchor companies. It supports smaller companies as well. There's a whole ecosystem that comes from that. And it also helps us ensure that we're keeping that company in British Columbia and the IP in British Columbia, which is not something historically that we've been really good at, frankly. So that's a priority going forward, and you'll see some investments coming forward into other life sciences companies, which we're really excited about. We also will continue our economic development work rurally. You'll also see a focus with how we are supporting our industrial initiatives. And this, I think, is just incredibly exciting. British Columbia has got this sort of sweet spot. We're an economy that is, as you heard in my remarks, our tech sector is outperforms sort of the size that we should have for our economy, right? We're 5 million people, but our tech sector again and again has been the fastest growing tech sector in all of North America in 2022, 23, tied with Austin, Texas, which is growing really fast as well. And that combined with the fact that we're a very active industrial sector. We've got a lot going on in forestry and mining and areas like that. So how do you combine those two things together? And we're seeing some really, really innovative work happening in that regard, which is very, very exciting. Things like, MindSense, who has developed technology using sensors and AI. So that if you take a shovel scoop of ore, you can identify just holding that shovelful of exactly the makeup of that ore and how much is waste and how much is retainable, becoming way, way, way more efficient than they have been historically. And that means lower GHGs, less waste, more precision, things that we want to see. So you'll see us focus on a number of different areas, but those are three that I thought I'd highlight.
That's amazing. I'm really happy to hear that. I know we have you for about 2 more minutes, so we have one question in the chat. And I can just read it out. Does BC have any plans to keep businesses with manufacturing in the province? We're seeing a lot of early stage companies go to Alberta, Ontario, or other regions that are making it attractive to set up operations there.
Yeah, great question. Thank you very much for that. 2 ways I'll answer this. One is in regards to our manufacturing jobs plan. So we've got $180 million that is available for manufacturers who are either building out here or want to expand or make changes to their manufacturing. So we can fund up to $10 million or 20% of a manufacturing play in that area. And we're seeing some really, really interesting investments coming into the province with this particular plan. So for example, Massive Timber, which is building out in Williams Lake, they're receiving funding to help them with that project, and they're doing mass timber. So about half of that $180 million is going to go towards forestry for innovations and transitions in the forestry company towards manufacturing. We're really interested in value add and making sure we get more jobs and further up the value chain from the forestry sector, from every tree that comes out of our forest. But about the other half of that 180 million is really for all types of manufacturing, whatever type of manufacturing. So we're seeing things like we've made an investment in a company in Surrey that does milk products. And they make delicious paneer, for example. And their product is available on Air Emirates, the best airline in the world. And this is a small company in Surrey that sells into them. So it's really exciting to see the different ways that manufacturing companies are using this support from government to help make sure that we're, that we're seeing the job growth that we want to in the manufacturing sector. It's a huge opportunity for us in BC. And I'll say in regards to the other part, the second part of the question, which is really in terms of competitive environments and loss of companies to Alberta, one of the most important things we can do to solve for that is make investments in our housing sector. A lot of folks have mentioned to us, they struggle to find talent, and when they do find talent, where do they live? So we are absolutely doubling down on ensuring that people can find housing, and you're going to see, I think there are 5 or 6 different initiatives afloat right now. That's not just to support people, which of course it is, and that's so key, but it also supports businesses.
Right. That's very clear. Thank you so much. I know you have to jump, so I just want to say a big thank you from the CCI family here, and also everyone joining for taking your time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And we really look forward to collaborating over the next year. I think there's a lot of moving pieces, and particularly as it relates to IP, we're all ears and happy to engage.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And thanks as always for your collaboration. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.